All right, folks, what is going on? This is episode 716 of the First and Frame Rate Show. I am VF Baller. Over here, we talk about Georgia Southern and Atlanta Falcons football. Now, we're going to jump back to the Falcons. Falcons on a 2-game win streak. They are in a really good position to take over the NFC South. And, all they have to do is just play, solid football. They don't have to do anything lights out or anything like that. But we're going to not necessarily talk about the team. We're going to talk about Desmond Ridder, the quarterback in general. I want to revisit this discussion because I want to, just talk to you guys and see if I judge Desmond Ridder too early. I don't know. I mean, sometimes I feel like he can be a really good quarterback, but then again, I sit here, I'm like, and he's going to be average. He might be above average. I don't think he's going to be good to elite. Maybe solid, I don't know. Now, mind you, he's 24 years old, so it's a lot of ceiling there. So, but we're just going to talk about it, and we're just going to go from there. If this is your first time here, welcome. I can be found on YouTube and Rumble. I am also on Anchor, Spotify, Apple, and Google Podcasts. I think next year, 2024, Google Podcast is going to turn to YouTube Podcast. I think it's going to be really interesting how that plays out because, Google and YouTube is basically one and the same. So that's going to be interesting as well. I can be found on Twitter or X at VF Baller, and the website is firstandframerates.com. If you want to support the show in a monetary value, links are below for CashApp and PayPal. All right, let's just go ahead and get into this. Desmond Ridder numbers this year are very, very average. And I don't want to use that word a lot in this episode, but they are. I mean, this season he is he's thrown for 63% of his passes are completed, 2,029 yards, 8 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. He has a passer rating of 81.3, which, to be honest, that's not bad. Now, this is my thing about these numbers in general. There could be a possibility that he may not be able to reach his potential under Arthur Smith, or, this is just who he is. So that's where I'm kind of torn at, because I don't know if he was in a different offensive system, would he be more dynamic? Because we know that he can move, he can run. Or is it a situation where that this is just who he is? He's a guy that needs to be limited to passing the ball. I don't know. I mean, I just know that with his skill set, just his skill set, not his, not everything else, just the skill set, what he brings to the table. It seems like he should be a damn good quarterback coming out of college and make things happen. Some of the decision making isn't the best. Some of the throws aren't the best, but you kind of expect that from a guy who hasn't started a lot of games in his career. I think what he's up to now, 10 games that he started. I can't remember. Let's see. He did 4 last year, and we're 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So he's at 13 starts because I think the 2 of these games he didn't play. But nevertheless, 2 of these games didn't start. But nevertheless, he has a pretty decent body of work that you see him, if you look at the stat sheet. And it's like, is this just who he is? It's not the system. It's not the offense. It's not Arthur Smith. Arthur Smith could be limiting him, and I think that does kind of stunt this growth. I think Coach Arthur Smith kind of sabotaged him a little bit by throwing him into bad plays or just not letting him throw enough, not letting him get enough reps. I mean, I don't know, because, there's times he throws for like 18 to 21 times a game, and it's maybe even lower than that. But, some of the greats that has been consistently throwing the ball, good passers of the ball, finding ways to get the ball to receivers, they get more reps. Now, is that a good thing? Should he get more reps? I'm not really sure because, like I said, his decision-making is a little bit all over the place. So I don't know if it's him or if it's the system or is it a little bit of both or whatever the case may be. I already made it out there to say that he's going to be an above average quarterback at best. It could be a situation where he could be a solid quarterback. You just put the pieces around him and you will win games. The games that I actually thought he looked pretty elite was the Texans game and even in the Buccaneers game, even with all the turnovers. As far as him passing, he looked pretty good. And I'm gonna give you the numbers. I can't. It doesn't have the completions and attempts on here, but here's the completion percentage. In the Texans game, he completed 75% of his passes for 329, 1 touchdown, no interceptions. In the Buccaneers game, he completed 76% of his passes for 250, no touchdowns, no interceptions. And that is actually pretty good. Now, I know the Panthers game, he had a higher completion percentage, but only threw for 115. Now, this is where me and Coach Arthur Smith bump heads. I'm not an expert or whatever the case may be, but as a fan, I know what I like to see. I want to see a guy throw the ball 25 times a game, throw for about 300 plus yards, 250 at the minimum. And if they have to throw more than that, that's cool. I want to see you get at least 250 plus in the passing game, and you run the ball for another good 100, 125, 150. That is a recipe of winning damn near every game you have. And I thought with Desmond Ridder and all these weapons that he have and the running backs he have, you should have a high-powered offense. I mean, there's no doubt about it. Now, can Desmond Ridder do that? He has, like I said, he has the skill set. But Arthur Smith offense doesn't really allow that. His offense is really, really based on the short passing game. He does go, over the top every now and then, but it's very limited. And I was wondering if it's a, Desmond Ridder thing. Is it a Marcus Mariota thing? Even with Matt Ryan, I mean, I think they threw the ball a lot more that first year. I mean, Kyle Pitts had over 1,000 yards that season. So I don't know, what is it? I sometimes I feel like that I've judged him too early, because I sometimes I want to backtrack. I'm not gonna lie to you. I want to give this kid a shot, but then you turn around and you see certain plays, you be like, nah, that's who he is. You know what I'm saying? I think he played a fairly solid game against the Jets, all things considering. He only completed 44% of his passes for 121, but he made some throws that really counted in the rain. I mean, some of them passes to Kyle Pitts, some to Desmond, some of the passes to Drake London, and the one to Michael Pruitt. I mean, he made some good throws, and he's capable of making good throws. But then again, you have some of these throws be like, all right, what are we doing here? So I'm a little bit torn on this. I don't know. I feel deep down, I feel that this kid is going to be an above average quarterback in it. I think that's his ceiling. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I don't see top 5 quarterback. I don't see the bottom, 5 quarterback either. I see a guy that could be in the 10 to 15 range, maybe the 10 to 20 range. Is that good enough? I don't know. I mean, does that win you? I'm just saying, does that win you a Super Bowl? Does he elevate and go beyond my expectations of him and be that elite quarterback? Do we see somebody that could be a top 5 quarterback? Well, I mean, what is it? I mean, like I said, I'm really torn about this, but I feel like I might be spot on about this. I understand he's 24. He hasn't had a whole season of play under his belt, but it's kind of skewed to me because he's already been a year in the system on the sidelines. Well, most of the year. He played 4 games last year. So if he was just a bona fide rookie, it would be different. But at this point, I'm like, well, what do we got? Is he good enough to continue to be the starter? Do we not go after a quarterback next? I think we go after a quarterback next year. I mean, unless Logan Woodside is stepping up and being the backup. I mean, I don't know Ridder and Woodside. I mean, Taylor Heineke's on a 2-year deal. He'll be here next year. Do we go after a quarterback? This quarterback draft is very heavy. You could probably get a decent quarterback late in the first round, actually, or possibly in the second round. It's just that deep. So it's not necessarily like we have to get one that's a priority unless like the next 5 games, Desmond Ridder shows that he's not the guy. And I think he's the guy. I think he deserves to have a uniform. I deserve that he should be on the team. I believe that he deserves to be on the team. I'm not saying that he's a guy that shouldn't play it or this, that, and the third. I just feel that to win at this level, you're going to need better quarterback play. If he played like he played against the Texans and definitely not the Commanders. If he played like he played against the Texans and the Buccaneers without the turnovers, obviously, and it's not like an interception, it's just the fumbles in the red zone. And I think he cleaned that up pretty good. He hasn't done that since, but nevertheless, if he plays like the Texans game or even the Buccaneers game, even you can really say the Packers or the Panthers, like there's 4 games this season that you can say that, hey, if he plays like those games, then consistently every week you're going to get, 70 or close to 70% completion rating, up to 240, 250 yards a game. Yeah, absolutely. But it's just so up and down. But like I said, is it on him or is it just Arthur Smith's offense? I don't know. It could be a little bit of both. But as of right now, I'm still going to say that I don't think I judged him too early. I feel like he's going to be an above average quarterback. And it is not a knock on him. Above average quarterbacks can have a very long career in the NFL. I know he has higher aspirations. I remember on draft night, he said that he felt like he can win a Super Bowl. But to be honest with you, I feel if he's going to win the Super Bowl, it's going to be on the backs of others. You're going to have a strong defense, or you have one hellified running game. Maybe he'll make a few plays throughout that run if we do make it to the Super Bowl, but it's not going to be like, and I hate to make the comparisons, it's not going to be like a Joe Burrow situation when he made it to the Super Bowl with basically no offensive line. He just had some really good receivers and he had to fight for his life. I don't think it's going to be one of those situations where it's going to be on what this guy's going to do to make this team get another W. I mean, the defense, for what it's worth, they haven't given up a touchdown in the last 2 games, and I think it's 25 drives. That's very impressive, and it's going to be other people around him to bring him over the finish line. I just don't think he'll do it with his arm and his legs. I just don't see it. I think he'll make some plays, but he's not going to be that driving force. And I that's just how I feel. Let me know what you guys think. If you like this commentary, hit the like button, share this podcast, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Do you think Desmond Ridder can be that guy? Do you think you judged him too early? Do you think you got him spot on? Whatever your assessment is, let me know. Like I said, I think he's going to be an above average quarterback. I want him to be elite. I want him to be top 5. I just still don't see it. And sometimes I'll reevaluate this by going back and forth with it, but I don't see it. I think he's going to be just fine. Doing what he's doing now. You tone down the interceptions. You tone those down. He's going to be all right. But we're going to need some pieces around him. And I'm not talking about just having some elite receivers. Every Super Bowl champion has help at quarterback. It's a collective effort. But I want it to be a situation where Desmond Ridder does enough to maintain, us holding on to a lead. Make some solid drives. Don't do anything flashy for the camera. Don't do anything that'll make SportsCenter. Just keep your head down and grind and get some points and let the defense ride the defense to the rest of the way. I think that's how it's going to be. I can be found on YouTube and Rumble, also on Anchor, Spotify, Apple, Google Podcasts. Also, I am on Twitter at VFBaller. Also, the website is firstandframerate.com. If you want to support the show, Cash App and PayPal links are below. And hopefully you guys continue to support, man. We're going into a new year, and I think it's going to be a great 2024. I appreciate you guys. All right, y'all. I'm out of here. Y'all take it easy, and y'all be blessed. Peace.